Hey there. Before we start this episode, I wanted to jump into your ears straight away and let you know how you can support us best with this podcast so we can keep this going. So the most important thing that when you have listened to this episode would be share. Spread the word, drop our name, drop us in the conversation. If you see a question popping up somewhere, say, the Damn Parenting Ladies, they have an episode on this. Pop the episodes out. Get us into the conversation of the communities. This is the best way to support Eva and me. And give us a like on Spotify. Give us a follow. Jump over to Instagram, Damn Parenting Podcast. Make sure that you spread the word about what you like, why you like the episodes, and that you spread the knowledge that we are putting out there so it can be heard and received by everyone who needs to hear this. And this is what I just wanted to drop with you before now you can enjoy them chat or an expert episode. So let's see what's going to be on.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Damn Parenting, your English-speaking parenting podcast from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. As always, we are your hosts, Eva and
Maren.
And today we are going to do a little bit something different. And Maren is laughing here at the moment because we've never done it before and she doesn't know what she's going to expect.
And we had this chat where Eva was explaining, so this is how it's going to go. And I was just sitting there like my brain was, this meme of this seal that just goes in circles. And I was like, I have no idea what you just explained. So let's just record and then we'll take it from there. And she was like, let's see.
Let's see. We are. This episode is actually a journaling episode. And it's adding on top of what we've been discussing this month between going back to school, relocation to schools with Dr. Naomi as well, the anxiety for parents, and ourselves when we talked about the intro into basically what's going to happen. So we figured what better way to end up the month by doing a journaling exercise. And I figured I'm going to hide this from Maren and we're going to do it live now on the podcast so we can have an honest discussion about it and see what it is. So basically, research shows that our level of confidence will impact the style of parenting that we are more comfortable with and how we nurture and support our children. So that's the whole exercise here is we're going to actually reflect on our level of confidences and what they look like. So there's a scale basically. And what we're going to do is it's called the Brief Parental Self-Efficacy Scale. I'm just going to quickly translate efficacy for some people. So efficacy is the ability of something to produce the intended result or the quality of being effective. So it's basically trying to say how able am I as a parent? And so this is going to be a very short journaling exercise, as it were. It's only 5 questions. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to ask everyone, if you're on your bike, leave this for later. We need you to sit down. We need you to have a notepad, pen, paper, whatever it is. And we need you to kind of really take this seriously and kind of say, okay, let me think about this, because you are going to score on the Likert scale, like 1 to 5. You are going to score it and you need to review that, and that you need to sit down and really look at it. So pause it right now. If you can get up and go and find a pen and paper. If you're cycling or maybe you're in the car or the train or whatever, maybe you want to save it for a bit later. So 1 second. Okay.
You can just listen to my juice because I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just strip bare here and tell you my thoughts.
So parental self-efficacy is defined as the parent's belief in their ability to effectively manage and positively influence their child's behavior. So confidence in knowing what to do and being able to do it and believe in these actions and that they are going to be effective. And the reason we're doing this is because I think this is going to be a real value for everyone moving forward into the school year, between starting school, going back to school, having just relocated to the Netherlands, and just kind of giving yourself that hopefully bolster to kind of review yourself in how am I moving forward? And maybe I just need a little bit of, I need to focus a little bit more here. I'm doing so well in this area. Let me just change it. So hopefully you're able to sit down and you're able to go through this. As I said, there's 5 questions. It's rated 1 to 5. So it's like the Likert scale. So we're going to say number 1 is strongly disagreeing. Number 2 is disagreeing. 3 is neutral. 4 is you agree. And 5 is you strongly agree. So this is how you're going to answer these 5 questions. So obviously that means you can score 5 or up to 25.
So wait, so 1 is strongly disagree. 2 is?
2 is disagree.
Disagree, yeah.
3 is neutral. 4 is agree.
Agree.
And 5 is strongly agree.
Strongly.
This really shows that we have no, this is new for Maren.
But also, I'm gonna take this as my new parenting to go. I strongly disagree with this.
You never know,
I
right?
disagree with TV time now.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
So,
okay. So basically, I'm going to let you know that this is being taken from an article from Child Psychiatry and Human Development, and it's called I Know What to Do. I Can Do It. It Will Work. The Brief Parental Self-Efficacy Scale, which is called the BPSES for parenting interventions. Don't let that scare you. This is just something for you to reflect with. Okay. So the first question, even though I may not always manage it, I know what I need to do with my child. Do you rate it 1, strongly disagree, 2, disagree, 3, neutral, 4, agree, or 5, strongly agree?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question number 2. Question number 2 is, I am able to do the things that will improve my child's behavior. How do you score that? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Number 3, I can make an important difference to my child. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. These can be difficult, so do sit with them and take your time answering them. Number 4, in most situations, I know what I should do to ensure my child behaves. Maren took a little breath there.
Yeah.
Again, take your time. Pause this if you
answer them all honest.
So. Yes, please do. And like anyone listening, do pause it. Take as long as you need. Like this isn't a rush because it's really for you to think about. You good?
Are we done?
Yeah. Oh, no, wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. The last question then is the things I do make a difference to my child's behavior. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay. So now you've looked at your score. You can see now it's going to range between the number of 5 to 25. So once you've looked at your score, okay, this isn't a level A, B, C, or D. Like you're not getting graded here at all. This is just basically a way to help support you look at the areas that we're going to talk about. Which question to you was your lowest number?
My lowest number. So
yeah, individually. And let's kind of say, okay, I scored 1 here. This is the question I need to sit with and to reflect with. Or 2 or 3. If you got 4s and 5s, you're doing amazing and you just keep going. Keep going with what you're doing, but also use this time to reflect. So it's a case of, for example, why don't you feel like you can make a difference? Why is that not working for you? Why do you feel like, oh, my child's like missing out? Really look at these questions and start questioning yourself. How is this affecting me? And how is it affecting my child? Is it that I'm not doing too much? Is it I'm doing too little? Is it I'm doing, start having a realistic kind of thought about each of these questions. Is there a question you want to discuss, Maren?
I think the ones where the last one is where it says I have an impact on my child's
behavior.
Yeah. Because I feel this is especially with transitioning into school we've talked about this before, where there's a lot more outside input on my child. They're just spending more time not with us and not in our care and not under our supervision. And we have to be open and agree that we put them into an environment where we know they will learn different things. They will learn maybe different views on things, and finding that balance of you still have a great impact of how do they receive other information, how do they handle other situations, how do they deal with other authorities. And I think this is where you still have to believe that you are still setting the groundwork at home and you still have this impact and you can still build the base and their perception on this outside information, on this outside caregiver, on like when they're in BSO, like all these things that are just more outside than that you still have that confidence. And this really also ties back what we said with totally different topic, but with Eowyn, where she said, you strengthen your child's language ability at home with your language, with your culture, with your impact. And this is the base where all the outside stuff builds on. And I think this can be applied as well to parenting and raising our children, where we build the base at home. And if we have a stable and good base where they come and communicate with us, then we can address those things that are coming from outside. And we can start a conversation and make them realize we have our home world and we have the outside world and the society, and how do we function in those two systems, and how do we emerge them more and more together. And this is a thing where you have to be you can allow yourself this confidence that yes, I do have strong impact and I do have that power and I do feel confident that I can build this strong base that the other stuff can build on.
So can you actually pinpoint times when you actually feel this, like when it relates to this question? Like,
yeah, when I see my daughter behave in situations outside, when I'm like not guiding them, and when I just see, like, a simple example, at daycare they had a like a little summer celebration thing, and I was just there watching her behave in her daycare environment, which I usually don't get to do as much, like just in the morning when I drop her off or I pick her up, like this very, very limited insights on how she functions in that system. And I know there's different rules at the daycare that we have at home. And I saw her in that environment, and I saw how compassionate, how empathetic, how gentle, and how all these things that I try to implement at home, and how we are taking care of other people, how we see them, how we help them. Like, I could see her doing this. And I was very happy that in this environment, I had built the base where she's able to do this. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm the older kid. And because they have like in every daycare, the baby group and then the toddler one. And we were all together in the outside area. And she was so gentle with the little ones. And she was like still standing up for herself when her friends that are equal with her, like on physical level and also language, all that, where she could defend herself, but being gentle. And I just saw that all the things that I tried to put in place, she knew how to execute, and she could use the tools that I gave her in that environment. Yeah, it's just always good for me to see when she applies those things in the outside world without me prompting her, without me guiding or setting the scene for the situation, or telling her like, this is what we do, or you have to say thank you, you have to do this, or you have to, like, when she does it without me interacting and with just me being there. And that, makes me happy that when I see my parenting in action, and this is also, I've said this before, when you plant the seeds and now finally they're starting to bloom and you see the little leaves coming out of the surface, you're like, okay, yes, we're doing it. It's happening. Because this can, I know this whole parenting is like we've said this before, it's a marathon, and you have to sit and sit until you see the result. And then you have to sit through this and be patient and know that you will see the results eventually. But because you're not going to see them earlier. Like if you pull on a plant, it's not going to grow faster, right? You're not going to make the grass grow faster. You have to just sit there and then eventually enjoy it. Yeah, parenting takes a lot of patience to see the seeds blooming that you're sowing.
What number did you get out of that question?
5.
Oh, that was a 5. Okay. What was your lowest? Like your
my lowest, were question number 2 and question number 4.
Question number 2. I can make an important difference to my child.
Yeah, I said I agree.
It was a 4.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a 4. Yeah, because again, that was when the outside comes in, and then also, I mean, I'm not parenting solo. So I also have a team. I'm a parent team. So it's also finding that balance within my partner, and within how do we parent as a team? How do we parent very differently, but with the same core, but just like the outcome is a little different. We agree on the same values, we agree on the same rules, but the extent on how firm they're put into place are a little different. So she does know that we are different, but the mixture is then at the end of the day the result that we as parents are achieving for her.
So out of all these questions, they basically were looking at your knowledge, your ability, and the outcome. And that's really what those questions are about, was the knowledge. For example, I may not always manage it. I know what I need to do with my child. That's a knowledge question. So sometimes that, if you rated like 2 or 1 or 3, whatever it might be, if that might be your lowest, it's really good to then sit and reflect and kind of go, okay, this is how I feel right now with school year starting, with new changes and routines or whatever. How can I support myself then moving forward with this? What is something that I can do? Is it like a book maybe I could read? Is there something I can do? And this is the moment. This is the whole reason of this exercise, is to kind of help you identify exactly where you really need the support. So that was a knowledge base. The I am able to do things that will improve my child's behavior is about ability. So the ability really comes with confidence. So that's kind of one of those things where it's a case of, okay, this is where routines and structures really come into place, where you're like, if I have these and if I have them set, then I'm able to move forward. So where are my boundaries? What is my routine? How do I want to move forward?
And this is also the whole reflection of, and especially I think this question is something where if you feel this for yourself, then you can also feel it for your child. But I think this is really, you have to, am I able to do this for myself? Like, am I in control? Am I doing this for me? And then I can apply it to my child.
And it's also rooted in anxiety as well, is the fact that sometimes you have routines and boundaries and everything in place so that you can manage yourself, your expectations and anxiety with your child.
Yeah.
The next question is, I can make an important difference to my child. That is also, again, about ability. It's about trusting yourself to know that I can do this. Again, it's a confidence one, and it's about just knowing that you do. And sometimes you need to really surround yourself with people who make you feel that way. You really need to be with people who are championing you. So it's a case of, if you don't feel like you're getting championed, maybe find a different place or a different group or somewhere to go where you can feel like people are applauding you and the efforts that you're making.
And also feel difference that you already feel within your parenting journey, looking back on how did I feel when this child was born, when I was totally new to this game, when I was really just learning, and then 3 months in, 4 months in, 6 months in, and now we are 4 years in. So I can really see and this is, I guess, when you feel like you're failing at this, or you're just not doing it right, or like everyone's doing it better, or whatever, or like you're comparing yourself too much, then feel back on what the difference that you created already is, and how this should be your comparison towards yourself. So how do I feel compared to the first year? How do I feel compared to the second year? How do I feel that difference? What's that space that I have created for myself? What's that growth that I have created for myself? And that is really, looking back, I'm like, wow, yes, I'm here. I'm still doing this, and I have learned so much about myself, about my child, and it is not the same. I don't feel the same as in the first week. I don't feel the same as in the first year, and it is different, and you are growing into this and really seeing that this is happening. And equally, if you feel, I still feel like I don't feel a difference, then this is a very, very strong, big reminder of get help. Look outside. Who can I bring to the table? As Eva said, who is in my village, who is in my community, who can help me that I can feel the difference? Because there should be difference. There is some different feeling, because you're evolving, your child is evolving, the surroundings are changing constantly. So if you feel like I'm still completely overwhelmed, I have not found my groove yet, I'm not landing on my feet, and you're years in, then this is the time where you should be, you don't have to do this alone. Like, you don't have to walk this walk alone. So really, then I can get help. And I
also,
can
what you just said there as well about being years in.
Yeah.
I think that's really important for people to know, is like, we are 4 years kind of in by the time this is kind of coming out. We actually had this discussion the other day, a little message about, like, I kind of feel a little like, normal when you were sitting down having your cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And, exactly. And I had it before someone got sick again. But it's that thing. This is 4 years, and now we are feeling it.
Yes.
So it's not a baby year. It's not toddler years. I mean, do give yourself grace. But one of the other things you mentioned there about comparison, there's a quote I really want to say, because I really need people to hear this, because the minute I heard it, it keeps sitting in my head. Comparison is a thug that robs your joy, but it's even more than that, because comparison makes you a thug who beats down someone else or your own soul. And I think this is I mean, come on. I really think that's also very important to the comparison of your child. Developmentally, children are going to grow at different rates. One is able to write before the other is able to speak, or whatever. Everyone has their own differences, and that's what makes us all unique. But again, please always remember that, don't compare it. Just live in your life and enjoy the moments that you have with them, because these times are fleeting, is the only way I can say it. Just to go back to the other quick questions, in most situations, I know what I should do to ensure my child behaves. That is about knowledge again. So again, if you're kind of not feeling that, this could be a case of you can find a book, you could find like even a parenting course. I mean, there are a couple of nice ones out there online. It's about supporting yourself and making you feel confident to be able to say, okay, I know what I can do. If it's a boundary, if it's a routine, if it's knowing that, when we're out in public, this is what society expects of you. And the thing is, you can't just make someone do that. You have to go out and try it and give them the experience so that they start to learn it, So this is something that I've been learning. And
also, I just want to quickly jump in there with the knowledge, because I think this is still a very big misconception that parents think they should know it all, and parents think it's...
I hope not. I mean, we don't have that book.
But I think this is still the narrative, and especially for mothers, that there is still this myth of the mother instinct, the biology of things. Science knows this is not something that we are born with. This knowledge is not just magically sitting in our brain, and then the child comes and then the brain opens this other compartment of secret knowledge that all of a sudden now here is your toolkit and this is how you parent. Yeah, exactly. But really acknowledging that this is something that you can learn, and that you have the time to learn, and you have all the resources at the tip of your fingers with the internet, books, people speaking up. You are allowed to learn, and you are allowed to read something up. And I think this is this big misconception of, but I should know how you're sitting. Remember your first driver's lesson? You're sitting in the car and you're like, how should I know how to drive? Like, I need someone to tell me. I need someone to show me. I need to sit down. I need to read all this stuff.
Or you land into China and you're like, yeah, I know Chinese. It's like, wait, what?
Exactly. It's like, why in all the other areas of our life we allow ourselves to learn, to try different things, to grow into something. But this parenting thing, we think we should be knowing it all and we should execute it all perfectly at the first try. Like, no, really give yourself time. And I have also said this before, months and months and months ago, in one of our very first episodes. I felt at one point in my parenting journey that I could get away with, okay, I'm just like trying and winging it and like doing my own thing. But then I hit a point where I said, I don't know what to do anymore. So but I know that there is a solution that is other than physical violence and screaming and all that and shutting it down.
Yeah.
I knew that there are these tools, but I know I didn't have them or I didn't use them right. So I knew I can ask people. I can read a book on something from a psychologist, from someone who studied this, from someone who went to school for this. I can
YouTube videos, TEDx videos.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There's so much.
So this is really, and this is when I realized there was a point in my parenting where I said, I need help and I want to learn about this and I want to change the way going forward. So please really don't see this as you're failing, but see this as great. I can learn and I am allowing myself to learn this. I am allowing myself to read up on it. And it's always, you're never losing anything if you read a book. You're never getting dumber. Like I don't
know. Have you ever tried astrophysicism? It makes me feel very dumb.
But that's the good thing, when you learn, nothing is taken away from you. You can decide if you implement it and if you grow, or if you stay the state you are and you realize, oh, actually, I think I'm good. I don't need this on top. But yeah, just this little side note of it is completely fine and completely normal to learn something that you don't know.
Well said. And the last question, the things I do make a difference to my child's behavior. This is about outcome. So this is basically, to me, it's all about all the efforts from all the years behind you. It's about building up all the effort you put in, those routines you put in place. I can give my prime example, which is a nighttime routine. I put my daughter to bed on my own for the first 2.5 years solidly. And I would hold resentment because I had to do it every night because it had to be a routine. It had to be strict because in my head, it was probably against my own anxiety because I knew a child is more settled in structure and routine because they have then the trust and confidence. You know what you're doing. I know what's to expect. Therefore, I can rest. And therefore, it makes the transition easier for them. And so that's what I really worked hard on. And now, after nearly 4 years, I mean, it's like clockwork. I know what to expect, except when she's sick. But otherwise, I do know what to expect. It's really helped me. And the thing is, it doesn't change overnight at all. It doesn't change in a week. It doesn't change in a month. It might not even change in a year. But it's just about consistency, about what you want and how much effort you're able to put into it. And again, as Maren also said, is we're a team. So when I kind of got to the point where I was like, okay, to my husband, like, you got to step in here. I really need you. That transition also shook the ground because he had and I was like, this is what you do. And this is how you say goodnight to everyone. And, and he was like, no, I do it my own way. And I was really like, oh God, no. But my daughter is now grown up and she knows the differences of when Papa brings me to bed, this is what happens. And when Mama brings me to bed, this is what happens. And that's it. But it is a case of trusting the process because you're in it for the long haul. small. We're not talking about babies for a couple of years. We're talking about babies who grow into kids, who grow into teenagers, who grow into adults. And that's basically the long run of what our parenting is all about.
Exactly. It's a marathon, and it's consistency.
And eventually a night off.
Then they're 18.
We would love to hear from you. Did this help you? Have you even heard of this Brief Parental Self-Efficacy Scale? Is this something that has made you aware of something? Is this something that you're thinking, yeah, you know what? I got this down. I've actually, even having done this, makes me feel more confident because I now feel like I really am. Or has this equally made you go, oh, you know what? I didn't really think about this. And yeah, school is starting. My child might start school, or they're going back to school. Equally, you've just moved to the Netherlands and your child is going into school and there's massive changes to happen. This is a great way to kind of give you an eye opening to the landscape, and maybe hopefully throughout all the episodes we've had, and there are plenty of them, you might be able to also find a professional who'll be able to help you move forward on your journey as well.
Exactly. You really it's not a failure if you reach out for help, if you reach out for support. And yeah, how should you know all of that? So give yourself some grace and really get what you need to feel confident, get what you need to feel centered, get what you need to implement the things that you want to implement and to reach the results and the goals that you have set for yourself. As Eva said, for yourself, for your life, for your family, not for Instagram, not for this parent, not for that family, not for whatever that, but what feels right for you. And especially also coming back to the whole thing of us being expats living in a different culture. Also stick to what is important to your culture, stick what is important to you, to your, wherever you're coming from in your life. And then the Dutch culture comes on top, and the surroundings comes on top, and society comes on top. Also know that all the stuff that you bring to the table is equally valuable and can equally be celebrated, can equally put into practice, can equally be shown, be seen, and can coexist with whatever else is outside. And this goes for everything, food, language, culture, clothing, opinions, whatever. It's like it can all somewhat coexist if no one gets hurt. That's the bottom line.
So yeah, hopefully this is help people, and it's giving you time to pause and to reflect. Hopefully these episodes this month of August has actually also benefited you and given you some support, shone some light, and equally kind of also giving you some guidance as well between Isabel, the teacher, giving you those great insights into knowing what a teacher might want or hope that you can bring in. We've also had Erin coming in to discuss about even the relocation process and how, you can really help yourself. And Dr. Naomi talking about anxiety with our parenting styles, because we all need a bit of Dr. Naomi in our life. And then obviously about our own story about how we were doing the introduction to schools and how different they are. We're all going to go through something very different. We're all going to have different needs, different wants. And at the end of the day, we really hope that we're able to shine a light on the professionals who might be able to help you as well.
And if you want to hear more from us, we have a huge library built up of tons of episodes already. You can find us on Spotify, for podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen back to all the amazing interviews that we have done so far on all these different topics that Eva just mentioned, not just for going back to school, but anything from baby, going through toddler, you name it. It's all, we really try to cover it all. And we're still covering more topics. And if you have a topic that you think we should be addressing, then please reach out to us. The best way is on Instagram. It's Damn Parenting Podcast. Slide into our DMs, drop us a line, bring topics that you want to discuss with us, or you want us to bring an expert on, because we're doing this for you. We're doing this for the community. We are doing this for the parents who don't want to be sitting there Googling their fingers away, going through all these groups, going through all these questions, opinions. We really want to bring the facts to the table. So if you have a topic that we have not addressed, reach out to us and we're super happy to discuss it with you or with someone that you think should be discussing this topic. Also, make sure that we get seen by other parents. So give us a 5-star rating on your podcast player. Bring us into the conversation. If you see a question popping up on your Facebook groups, your WhatsApp groups, or even your chit chat on the playground, at the school pickup, if you can think of an episode that we have covered this question with, then share and spread the word about this episode. Bring us into the conversation. That was it for now. We will hear you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.